everyone. Thanks for joining me again on a Monday night. Let's get together and make something fun together. Get a little inky. I would post, as always, I post the dimensions you need for what we're making tonight on my Facebook page, and they're in the event as well. So you can find out ahead of time what to have cut and ready, or you can always just watch along and then go back and take care of it after the fact. This will stay here, and it also get posted to my YouTube channel, so you can always watch later if you didn't make it live. So just a reminder that we're still in celebration time. It's going to end at the end of the month here. Some items are already sold out, so make sure you check the store before you choose and see what's still available. There's also a handful of items from the annual catalog that they added to the list of free items. So if there's something you missed out in here, you might still be able to snatch up some really fun goodies from the annual catalog. All right, so everything I'm showing you tonight will be coming from either the mini catalog, July to December 22, or the annual catalog that goes till the end of next April. And everything will be posted up there when we're done, and you can see what sets I used and where you can find those things. Alrighty, so let's get started. Tonight you needed a piece of cardstock that's 5.5 by 8.5 and scored at 4 1/4. I'm going to be using Melon Mambo. You needed a piece of designer series paper that's 4 by 5 1/4. I took this piece from the pack that's called Hues of Happiness. And then you need some cardstock, a different color than your background. And you need a piece that's 1/2 inch by 4 inches. And then you needed 3 pieces that were about 1/2 by 2. You can be a little flexible with these measurements. We're gonna end up trimming them down a little bit, so don't worry if I'm not too precise. And then this is Daffodil Delight. And then a neutral panel that's 2 by 3. We're gonna be using it vertically. So get ready to decorate that up with whatever stamps you brought for, what's the word I'm looking for? Images, phrases, etc. All right, so let's start with that. Go ahead and grab your white panel. For this one on camera tonight, I'm going to be using Good Feelings and watercolor shapes. I'm going to use the watercolor shapes to make the nice background in this piece here. Take out some of the starkness of the white. I'm going to use that rectangle shape there with my Daffodil Delight ink. And now, pardon me if my head gets in the way. I'm going to lean over a little bit. Make sure I kind of got it centered left to right as much as possible. Now, the watercolor shape stamp set is really kind of cool because all of these shapes already have a light and shadow built in, as you can see by the cover here. So it's not going to be a solid square. It's going to be a little bit something like that. So it's meant to be a watercolor look or modeled look or whatever you might want to call that. So I'm going to give that chance, set that aside for a second. Close that up because, of course, I will end up sticking my fingers in it. All right, and I'm just going to use Memento Black for my thank you phrase, and that, again, is coming from Good Feelings. And put that about right in the middle there. So there we go. So that yellow just kind of makes a nice little background, or the watercolor shape, I should say, makes a nice little background that you can put other images or phrases over. You could stamp it off as well, make it even a little bit lighter, depending on how dark you start out with your ink. All right, so that is that piece right there. So now we're ready to assemble if you've got your panel all set. And if you don't worry, this part will be easy to follow along, and you can keep putting it together while I'm showing you my alternative samples. All right, get your crease really good there with your bone folder. We are gonna go ahead and add that panel just directly to the card front with whatever adhesive you brought with you tonight. Look at the back side of this one. Isn't that cute? It's all these little kind of like pluses or X's, and they're all in like a rainbow pattern. Wasn't that super cute? I just love that one. Okay, so I'm going to put that on the front of my card. It should fill up the whole thing with just a little bit of a border. I'm realizing I'm a little bit crooked, so I'm going to fix that. Just a little bit. There we go. All right, that makes me feel better. It always bugs me if my edges aren't even. All right, now you're going to take that longer panel. So this is the one that's 1/2 inch by 4. It is going to fit all the way across your card. So you're going to place it kind of in the top quadrant, I would say. It doesn't have to be a very specific spot. You're just kind of breaking it up a little bit across the top edges here. I'm going to go right through that pink flower. Okay, so there's your piece of cardstock. That, again, was your 1/2 inch by 4. Now let's go ahead and set that aside. We're going to go back to these little pieces here, and we're going to turn them into little pennants. And one of my favorite ways to do that, I know, Tina, right? I love these watercolor stamps. I think they are so cool. And I love the fact that, like, I would love to be able to just create that on my own, and I'm not an excellent watercolorer, I will admit. And I like the stamp does it all for me. Okay, I was talking over that, so let me redo another one for you. Okay, so there we go. What I like to do is I like to cut it from the center, just a little bit, and then from each corner, you're gonna go to the center where you cut, and to the center where you cut. And then you should have a fairly even flag pennant shape, okay? And for your last one, and then I'll show you a couple options of what you can do with these. Let's see here, get more from this corner. Okay, so we can put them all together, coming down from the banner itself in all the same fashion. So you could have them laying like this. You can overlap them a little bit so that it almost looks like a ribbon, like a State Fair award-winning ribbon. So that would give you a look that's kind of like that. You can stagger them a little bit if you want to have highers and lowers like that. And then when you put this piece over, that's what you would get it to look like. Okay, so this is totally up to you, however you want to put this together. Use your adhesive or your glue dots or something like that to attach these to the back. I'm just going to run a little adhesive on each of these and get them attached together before I put it onto the back of my card. I'm getting near the end of my, yep, I am. Okay, so time out. Just show you this is one of the ways I can show you guys how easy it is to use our Stampin' Seal, and just pop your other refill right back in again and close it up, and you're ready to go. Super quick and simple. Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit there, and like I said, I'm gonna leave mine kind of staggered. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and run some adhesive at the bottom of my panel, and you can decide how much you want to have sticking out. Is it just a little bit? Is it more? Okay, so depending on what you have and what you think looks good, I'm just gonna leave just a little bit, I think. All right, now you can take this then and put it directly onto your card base if you like. I'm gonna go ahead and, use some dimensionals. Oh, Karen, this paper pack, if you don't have this yet, you need to get this. It's Hues of Happiness, and that's literally how you feel as you're going through all these beautiful floral patterns. And I'll show you in a second too that my stepped up version of this card has a piece from the exact same sheet of paper, and you wouldn't necessarily know it just by looking at it because it goes in almost a rainbow pattern. So my other half of this has the blues and the greens and the purples, whereas this is more the pinks and the orangey yellows and stuff. So cool. Highly recommend Hues of Happiness. Super fun pack of paper. Okay, come on, dimensional backing. Oh my gosh, it's being so stubborn. Okay, there we go. All right, so grab your card front again, and we're just gonna layer that right in the middle, hanging above your strip of cardstock up there. And there you go. If you brought ribbon, gems, that sort of thing, this would be a great place to stick those in. If you're doing bows or tying around, you could add your gems around, dress that up however you like, but that is your base model. And like I just said for the stepped up version, so this literally comes from the same sheet of paper, and you almost would never guess it by looking at it. Let's see, I happen to have it handy. Here we go. I mean, look at how pretty that is. Oh my gosh. And as you can see, I cut some from one side and some from the other. And then I showed you before, there's these cute little plus and X's, whatever, in a rainbow pattern. Love this. I used a piece a couple weeks ago as well for this night. There again, it's kind of goes from pinks into corals into yellows. The watercolor wash on the back. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna get too wrapped up in that. But Hues of Happiness, guys, I'm telling you, you are gonna want this paper pack. It's so cool. All right, so the difference is here, I added another piece of cardstock at the top. So it's not quite as, the DSP doesn't go quite all the way up. I did add some twine around this piece and a layer. So you can see there's a black layer behind my rectangle. And I fanned these guys out more like that banner or ribbon panel like I told you before. All right, so there's those two versions. Set those aside. Then I grabbed one of my other favorite DSP packs, which is the Butterfly Kisses, which has such fun and bright colors. And then I used the Amazing Silhouette stamp set that has this butterfly in it. And the silhouette meaning whatever ink you use, you're gonna get that around the image. So whatever's sitting here is gonna stay the color of your paper. So if that was white, it stays white. etc. And then the phrase here comes from the Through It Together. I used some of the Parakeet Party metallic ribbon. And again, this is from Butterfly Kisses, one of my favorite other pieces of designer series paper. And then instead of cardstock, I added some other designer series paper from that pack to make the little banner parts. Hi, Mary Lynn. Thanks for joining me tonight. Glad you could pop over. All right, this one is a little bit more fall looking. I'm using the Still Amazing Silhouettes, but this time, instead of having to leave it, it's on a vanilla panel, but instead of leaving that part neutral, I took my blending brush with a lighter color, so I stamped it in Blackberry Bliss, and then I'm going over it with the Rich Razzleberry, which is this lighter color here, and this is the Blackberry, and I brushed over to take some of that starkness out and just give it a little bit of a different highlight. Alrighty. Now here's two different samples. I have the same pieces, but I did completely different layouts. So I'm going to show you what else you could be doing with the same concept. So here you can see I stamped my Daisy Garden. It's actually a big background stamp. I just used a little portion of it on that particular square, and then took my sponge daubers and colored in some daffodil and some pear pizzazz. And then here's my 1/2 inch by 4 piece, and here's my little 3 banners, and I did them up across the side, brought all of this down, focuses down instead of up. Okay, so that's a little bit different idea for that one. And then on this one, this is from Splendid Day. Oop, I need to move that just a little bit. The cards, as you can see, the DSP itself is like a metallic based, so it's really, really reflective. And this is already printed on the DSP, and I didn't want to cover too much of it up, so I moved my whole panel up over here, and I used vellum just to give it a little bit of separation. So my banners and my extra layer are actually done in vellum. So you'll still see through to see some of the part underneath, but it does pick up some of the hue of that metallic, so it almost looks a little pinkish when you're looking at it. It's really kind of cool. Alrighty, so there's those two. Like I said, the same elements, same sizes of pieces of paper, same concept. I just changed a little bit about where I placed them and how I use them. Alrighty, guys. Well, that is pretty much it for tonight. Thanks for joining me live. And again, this will be posted in just a few minutes, and I will upload the pictures with all the descriptions that tell you what's been in them. As you can see, Hues of Happiness is really a good one. A new go-to for me. I've used it a few weeks in a row now, and I just love it. All right, everybody. Have a great rest of your Monday, and I will see you here next week. Take care, everyone.